In Stoic philosophy, self-worth isn't dependent on others' opinions, but rather rooted in your own values. Stoics believe you cannot control how others treat you, but you can control your response. When faced with disrespect, focus on maintaining your inner peace by prioritizing self-respect. Understanding this empowers you to rise above negativity, knowing that true respect starts from within, not from others' validation. In this article, we'll explore how to handle disrespect with Stoic wisdom, from practicing detachment, setting boundaries, to embracing acceptance. Let's dive into the timeless principles that can help you take control of your peace. The power of detachment. Why ignoring disrespect is sometimes the best response. Building on the idea that true respect begins within, another powerful Stoic tool for handling disrespect is the practice of detachment. Imagine this. You're in a meeting, and someone publicly undermines you, making a dismissive comment. Your heart races, your mind starts spinning with rebuttals, and the urge to defend yourself is overwhelming. But then, a calm voice inside your head reminds you, you control your reactions, not theirs. In that moment, you realize that the best course of action isn't to engage with their negativity, but to detach emotionally. Detachment, in Stoic philosophy, doesn't mean you ignore the situation entirely or pretend it doesn't bother you. It means that you choose not to let another person's behavior dictate your emotional state. By stepping back from the emotional charge of disrespect, you protect your peace and prevent the situation from escalating. This concept is beautifully illustrated in the story of Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers. As a slave, Epictetus was regularly mistreated and humiliated. Yet, he was known for his serene demeanor, never allowing the actions of his masters to shake his inner peace. In fact, he taught that it's not what others do to us that harms us, but our judgment of their actions. If someone insults you, it's not the insult itself that causes pain, but your belief that the insult means something about you. By detaching from that judgment, you regain your power. Detachment helps you avoid knee-jerk reactions that could escalate conflict or make the situation worse. Instead of responding with anger or frustration, you remain centered, focused on your values, and emotionally unscathed. It's like watching a storm from the safety of a house. While the chaos rages outside, you remain calm and unaffected inside. But how do you actually detach in real life? First, recognize that your emotions are a natural response to how you perceive others' actions. However, those feelings aren't your only option. When faced with disrespect, take a pause. Breathe deeply, and remind yourself that you can choose how to respond. You might even use a mental mantra like, "Their actions are a reflection of them, not of me." Another essential aspect of detachment is understanding that everyone has their own battles. Disrespect often stems from the insecurities or struggles of the person dishing it out. By detaching, you stop taking their negativity personally. The person disrespecting you may be projecting their own pain, which has nothing to do with your worth. Lastly, remember that detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means protecting your inner peace by not allowing external chaos to disrupt your mental state. As the Stoics would say, focus on what you can control, and let go of what you can't. You can't control how others treat you, but you can control your response. By mastering detachment, you free yourself from the burden of constant emotional reaction and find strength in your inner calm. In this way, detachment becomes a powerful tool in reclaiming your power and emotional well-being. You don't need to fight back to win. You only need to remain unshaken. Responding with virtue. How to maintain your integrity in the face of disrespect. Building on the power of detachment, another profound Stoic approach to handling disrespect is responding with virtue. While detaching from the emotional sting of disrespect can protect your peace, it's how you choose to respond that defines your integrity. When faced with disrespect, the Stoic path doesn't call for retaliation or silent submission. It calls for acting in accordance with virtue, no matter how others behave. And this can transform a hurtful moment into an opportunity for growth. Imagine this scenario. You've been working hard on a project, and a colleague undermines your efforts, publicly dismissing your work. The initial instinct might be to snap back, to prove them wrong, or to engage in an argument to defend your honor. But what if instead, you responded with patience and wisdom, knowing that your true worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion? This is where Stoic virtues like wisdom, patience, and courage come into play. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions, rather than being at the mercy of how others treat us. By responding with virtue, we maintain our dignity and rise above the pettiness of disrespect. There's a powerful story of the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. As the ruler of an empire, he often faced criticisms, both personal and political. Yet, he was known for his calm demeanor and ability to lead with compassion, even in the face of betrayal or personal attacks. When insulted, Marcus didn't lash out. Instead, he would take a deep breath, reflect on the situation, and respond with clarity and measured judgment. He understood that to act with virtue was the ultimate form of strength. His ability to remain virtuous in the face of disrespect earned him the respect of his peers and solidified his legacy as one of the greatest leaders in history. Responding with virtue is not about letting others walk all over you. It's about standing firm in your values and demonstrating your integrity, regardless of how others act. It's about choosing to rise above the negativity and show that your character is stronger than any insult. It's easier said than done, of course, especially when we're hurt or angry, but practicing virtue in the moment can create a powerful ripple effect. Not only do you preserve your own sense of self-worth, but you also set a higher standard for those around you. A simple yet powerful example of this is when someone insults you in a public setting. Instead of firing back with a cutting remark, you choose to respond with kindness and understanding. You might even say something like, "I understand you may feel differently, but I believe we should focus on finding a solution rather than placing blame." By doing so, you maintain control over the situation, protect your dignity, and diffuse the negativity. You've taken the high road, and that is an act of true strength. In every interaction, responding with virtue is a way to demonstrate that no external disrespect can shake your inner foundation. You show yourself in the world that your integrity is unwavering and that your response to disrespect will always be grounded in wisdom, patience, and respect for yourself. This Stoic practice empowers you to maintain your sense of self, regardless of the treatment you receive from others. Setting boundaries. Stoic wisdom on protecting your peace. Building on the idea of responding with virtue, another essential Stoic principle for handling disrespect is setting boundaries. While virtue allows us to remain grounded in our character, it's crucial to understand that true respect for ourselves means not tolerating behaviors that violate our peace of mind. By setting healthy boundaries, we protect our emotional well-being and demonstrate self-respect, ensuring that we don't allow disrespect to erode our inner calm. Imagine this. You have a friend who constantly belittles your ideas or dismisses your feelings. You've tried to address it gently, but the disrespect continues. In this situation, the Stoic approach doesn't suggest tolerating mistreatment for the sake of avoiding conflict. Instead, it teaches us to firmly set boundaries, making it clear what behavior is unacceptable, while still remaining calm and composed. The idea of setting boundaries isn't about cutting people off or being rigid. It's about defining the space where you will allow others to treat you with respect. When we fail to set boundaries, we often end up feeling drained, frustrated, and disrespected. In contrast, when we communicate our limits clearly and confidently, we preserve our emotional peace and assert our own self-worth. It's a powerful tool for self-care. There's a powerful story from the life of the Stoic philosopher Seneca. He had a close friendship with a man named Lucilius, but over time, he found that Lucilius was taking too much of his time and energy, expecting Seneca to be available whenever he needed him. Seneca, being the wise Stoic that he was, decided to set a clear boundary by limiting their interactions to certain times and places, rather than indulging every request. Lucilius, at first, felt hurt, but Seneca calmly explained that by respecting boundaries, they could maintain a friendship that was healthier and more balanced. This wasn't a sign of disrespect, it was an act of wisdom and self-respect. Setting boundaries, as Stoicism teaches, is not about seeking revenge or being harsh. It's about creating a space where you can remain true to your values and protect your peace. It's essential to remember that your peace is not negotiable. Whether it's at work, with family, or with friends, you have the right to define how others treat you, and you must assert that right for the sake of your emotional well-being. Here's how to set those boundaries. Be clear and firm, but also kind. Don't feel the need to explain yourself in detail. Simply communicate your limits. For instance, if a colleague is constantly interrupting you, calmly say, "I would appreciate it if you let me finish speaking before offering your thoughts." If a friend consistently takes advantage of your time, gently but firmly say, "I need to prioritize my personal time, so I can't be available as often." When you set boundaries with kindness, you're not rejecting the person. You're simply rejecting behavior that undermines your peace. The Stoic idea is that you cannot control others, but you can control how much of their negativity you allow into your life. By setting clear boundaries, you make it known that you value yourself enough to protect your peace. In the end, setting boundaries isn't a selfish act, it's a wise one. It's a way to safeguard your mental and emotional health, ensuring that you remain resilient, calm, and focused on what truly matters. And in doing so, you teach others how to treat you, fostering relationships built on mutual respect rather than manipulation or disrespect. Embracing acceptance. The Stoic art of letting go of the need for approval, building on the idea of setting boundaries. Another powerful Stoic principle for handling disrespect is embracing acceptance. Sometimes, despite our best efforts to protect our peace and set clear limits, we still find ourselves dealing with disrespectful behavior. In these moments, Stoicism encourages us to practice acceptance, not of the disrespect itself, but of the reality that we cannot control the actions of others. Acceptance frees us from the emotional turmoil of trying to change what is outside our control and allows us to move forward with peace and grace. Imagine a scenario where you've done everything right, set boundaries, stayed virtuous, detached from emotions, but still, a colleague continues to undermine you. You might find yourself obsessing over the situation, replaying their words in your head, feeling hurt, frustrated, or angry. But in these moments, the Stoic path doesn't ask you to force a resolution. Instead, it calls you to accept that, despite your best efforts, some things simply can't be controlled. By letting go of the need for external validation or approval, you regain your power. This is exactly what happened to the famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus. As a former slave, he faced tremendous hardships and mistreatment. Yet, he learned to accept that many things were beyond his control, especially the actions of others. One of his most profound teachings was that we are not disturbed by things themselves, but by our judgments of those things. When someone disrespects us, it's not their behavior that hurts us, but our emotional reaction to it. By accepting the reality that we cannot control how others treat us, we can let go of the frustration and pain that often accompany disrespect. Acceptance, however, does not mean passivity. It does not suggest that we tolerate mistreatment or resign ourselves to being victims. Instead, it means accepting that we are not responsible for the way others choose to act. Their disrespect reflects on them, not on us. This shift in perspective allows us to stop giving away our emotional energy to things we cannot change. As Marcus Aurelius, another great Stoic philosopher, put it, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In practice, embracing acceptance involves releasing the need to control others' opinions of us. We stop seeking approval from people who may never appreciate us, and instead focus on aligning our actions with our own values. For instance, if a family member dismisses your achievements, you don't need to defend yourself or prove your worth. Instead, you accept that their inability to recognize your worth doesn't diminish your accomplishments. You choose to focus on what you can control, your sense of self and your journey forward. The emotional freedom that comes with acceptance is profound. It's the difference between carrying the weight of someone else's disrespect and letting go of that burden. When you accept that others' actions are beyond your control, you free yourself from the emotional drain of seeking their approval. You stop living for others' judgments and start living for your own peace of mind. In the end, embracing acceptance allows you to move through life unshaken by external forces. You stop chasing validation and start valuing your own worth. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It simply means you recognize that no matter what others do, you are enough. Practicing detachment, finding freedom from others' opinions, building upon the principle of acceptance. Another essential Stoic practice for dealing with disrespect is practicing detachment. When we stop seeking approval or validation from others, we begin to free ourselves from the power they hold over our emotions. Detachment doesn't mean ignoring the actions of others. It means not allowing their behavior to control how we feel or how we respond. It's the art of stepping back emotionally and seeing situations from a more objective, less reactive perspective. Consider this. You've worked hard on a project, giving it your best effort, but a colleague dismisses your work, making you feel unappreciated. In the past, you might have felt anger or frustration boil up, needing to defend yourself or gain validation. But through detachment, you learn to separate your emotional well-being from their behavior. You understand that their opinion of you doesn't define your worth or effort. This shift in mindset is liberating and allows you to maintain inner peace despite external negativity. One of the best examples of detachment comes from the life of the philosopher Epictetus. Despite being born a slave, Epictetus was known for his profound wisdom and ability to maintain emotional freedom, even in the face of tremendous hardship. He once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Epictetus's teachings emphasize that we cannot control external events, but we can control our responses. His ability to detach from the suffering caused by his slavery allowed him to focus on cultivating a peaceful and virtuous life, regardless of the circumstances. Detachment, according to Stoicism, is not about indifference or apathy. It's about gaining control over our reactions and emotions. By practicing detachment, we stop giving others the power to affect our emotional state. When someone disrespects us, we can still acknowledge the hurt without letting it define us. This shift in focus is empowering because it places the responsibility of our emotions squarely back in our own hands. Here's an example. Imagine a situation where a friend criticizes your choices. Instead of feeling anger or resentment, you can practice detachment by observing your reaction, recognizing that their opinion is just that, an opinion, not an absolute truth. You might feel a fleeting sting, but you don't let it linger. You detach from their judgment, remembering that your decisions and values are yours alone. Their disrespect is a reflection of them, not a reflection of your worth. Detachment also helps us avoid the trap of seeking validation from others. In a world where social approval often feels like a measure of success, practicing detachment teaches us to rely on our inner standards instead. This doesn't mean we stop caring about others, but rather, we stop relying on their approval to feel good about ourselves. When we detach from the need for external validation, we unlock a deeper sense of self-confidence and peace. In the end, practicing detachment allows us to walk through life with a sense of freedom. We are no longer at the mercy of others' opinions or behaviors. Whether it's a harsh criticism, a dismissive comment, or outright disrespect, detachment enables us to remain rooted in our own values and self-worth. This is true emotional freedom, the ability to respond to life's challenges without losing ourselves in the process. Cultivating inner strength, building resilience in the face of disrespect. As we continue on the Stoic journey, after embracing detachment, we arrive at the essential practice of cultivating inner strength. When we detach from others' opinions, we begin to understand that true resilience lies within us. Resilience isn't about avoiding pain or pretending that disrespect doesn't hurt. It's about developing the inner fortitude to withstand life's challenges without losing our sense of self. By cultivating inner strength, we become unshakable in the face of adversity. Imagine this. You've spent years working on your career, but a colleague undermines your efforts in a public meeting, making you feel humiliated. At that moment, it's easy to react, perhaps with anger, embarrassment, or frustration. But cultivating inner strength means that you don't let their words break your spirit. Instead, you acknowledge the sting of disrespect, but you also recognize that your value is not determined by their opinion. You choose to rise above the situation, drawing on your inner resilience to maintain your dignity and composure. This concept of inner strength was central to the life of Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoic philosophers. As a Roman emperor, Marcus faced betrayal, political intrigue, and constant personal challenges. Yet, he remained grounded in his Stoic beliefs, always striving to respond with virtue, wisdom, and inner strength. In his Meditations, he wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." For Marcus, true strength was not measured by external power, but by the ability to remain steadfast in the face of hardship. Building inner strength requires practice and self-awareness. It's about learning to control our reactions to external events, especially when faced with disrespect. Instead of allowing ourselves to be thrown off course by someone else's behavior, we turn inward, focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. The more we practice this, the stronger we become in managing our emotional landscape. One powerful example of this comes from the story of a woman named Clara, who worked in a high-stress corporate environment. Her boss frequently belittled her contributions in meetings, often in front of her colleagues. Initially, Clara felt crushed, questioning her abilities and doubting her worth. But over time, Clara learned to cultivate her inner strength. She started journaling her thoughts, reflecting on her achievements, and reminding herself that her value was not tied to her boss's disrespectful behavior. She began to detach from the need for his approval and instead relied on her own sense of purpose and self-worth. Over time, This inner strength allowed her to rise above the negativity, and she soon found herself thriving in her career, despite the challenges. To cultivate inner strength, start by focusing on what's within your control. When faced with disrespect, ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that reflects my values? Rather than reacting impulsively or seeking external validation, draw on the power of your own resilience. Practice mindfulness, meditation, or journaling to strengthen your emotional fortitude. The more you cultivate this inner strength, the less vulnerable you become to the opinions or actions of others. In the end, building resilience in the face of disrespect allows you to remain unshaken by life's challenges. By relying on your inner strength, you can face adversity with confidence, knowing that your value comes from within, not from the approval or disapproval of others. The true power lies in your ability to stay grounded in your own wisdom and strength, no matter what external forces may come your way. Hey there, amazing souls! Glowing star, if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like it and share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you handle disrespect and stay true to yourself. Your feedback is the fuel that keeps us going. Speech Balloon Sparkles, if you found these Stoic insights helpful, don't stop here. Hit that subscribe button and join our community for more empowering content like this. Man in Lotus Position Fire, watch our other videos to unlock even more wisdom, motivation, and practical tips to live your best, most peaceful life. Seedling together, we're growing stronger every day. Flexed biceps, stay wise, stay peaceful, and remember, you're in control of your journey. Sparkles, oncoming fist.